sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land.
Dawn is rising over the steppe. It is for each Cossack. Search his soul and choose the way he will go.
The Scythians by the Greeks. In other words, you and I may not have heard of Magog, but we have heard probably, if you've done the ancient reading at all, of the Scythians. As the Scythians are the forebears to what you and I would know as the Russians.
Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39, where Russia marches against Israel and all their wars.
At one time, all tribes of Central Asia were called Scythians. With the introduction of the Indo-European theory, many people known to be East Asian were called Iranian. The Scythians are one such group. The Byzantines are one of the groups that were considered Turks in the 17th and 18th century. Then, with the spread of colonialism, came the idea that certain people are born better than others. So these special people needed special origins. Then, overnight, the people that were Asian became Iranian to support this idea. The 19th century researchers supposed that the fantastic art and well-built tombs had to be made by Europeans. This idea is still alive in modern archaeology. Peter I needed something to unify the Slavic people with the formation of the Russian Empire. So he hired European historians to write the history of the Russian people. These historians came to two conclusions. First, the ruling class were Scandinavians. Second, that the others were Scythians from the Carpathian Mountains.
Takes only a few days to complete.
The truth comes from genetics.
The result surprises even an experienced expert like Joachim Berger. Against astonishing odds, the DNA of the ancient female warrior from Russia, the little girl from Magog, are a striking match.
It was unbelievable that the DNA sequences of the warrior from members from the girl from warrior are identical.
А почему-то вот они вот взяли чисто европеоидную, значит, женщину, ну, присутствуют черты монголоидные. И говорят, что вот это чисто вот монголоидная, значит, европеоидная женщина. Что, а вы же монголоиды, даже не ваша культура.
The Swiss forensic pathologist agrees with Riemer that the reconstruction is too European. He has done his own comparison of the skull looking at the nose and eye orbits.
It was not our first goal to determine race, but we saw that the orbits were much more like this, also the nose. I think she has rather more hints of a Magogic origin.
Archaeology increasingly is a political discipline. This is indicated in the Altai Mountains. Who has the right to excavate there? Are the peoples who are being uncovered related to the modern populations? Today we have a whole battery of scientific approaches to study biological variation. RNA and DNA is perhaps the most precise. It's a new weapon in our artillery to try to determine.
The Scythian language was linked to Iranian by use of the ty and the ta suffix on words. Little did they know that this suffix is a Turkish suffix used as loans in the Iranian language. The Scythian language appeared to be very Turkic. The Alans in 443 AD were described as Mongolian. This is in line with the DNA evidence. Attila the Hun was also described as Mongolian.
He was short in stature with a broad chest, massive head, and small eyes. His beard was thin, sprinkled with gray, his nose flat, and his complexion swarthy, showing to us the signs of his origin.
The Greeks defeated the Amazons at the Thermodon River. They took them prisoner aboard their ships. But the Amazons rose up and killed the Greek crew. Unable to sail, they found themselves hopelessly adrift. The waves carried the Amazons to the far eastern shores of the Black Sea, territory of a fierce warrior culture called the Scythians. The surviving Amazons intermarried with the Scythian men.
The Amazons are the women from the kingdom of Caucasus. The black element in Central Asia is from the kingdom of Caucasus. Pindar, a Greek poet, said that the Greeks sailed to the river Fusion to make war on the black Caucasians. A late antiquities expert called the people of Caucasus Indian Scythians. Caucasus was an Egyptian colony, but the people were actually Libyans. There is a Caucasus in Libya and also an Iberia in Libya. The Sarmatians claim Aedes as their ancestor. Much like the Scythians, the people of Caucasus are depicted as violent in the extreme. The ancient Greek writers commented on the darkness of their skin in contrast with the paleness of the Scythian skin. The people of Caucasus use the axe extensively. This axe is of the Scythian type. Caucasus was also known for its fine horses. The people of Caucasus was called Laz. Laz easily becomes Kaz with the sounder, as in Kazakh. To the northeast of the Hittite Empire was located an empire called Kash. Kash is Kush. The name Abkhazian is also derived from Kush. The Kazakhs had two kings. One was secluded and sacred, and the other one was a war king. The Bashkil had two kings also. They were mentioned as a pair of kings. The Arab work Ja'al Arish says that the Cossacks are descended from Cash. The Khazars are descendants of the Sarmatians and the Wusung of Asia. The bulls of the Huns are said to have one limb shorter than the other, much like this bull from Caucasus. The Huns are considered very dark. The Huns seem to be a mixture of Scythian and Sarmatian. Through a combination of using ancient sources with the latest scientific technologies, we can now see the true story of Central Asia. Modern scholarship wants to make it seem as if it's an extension of Europe, but in actuality, it's a great melting pot made up of Europeans, Asians, and Africans. So in short, it can be described in one way.
The result is not at all what David's people anticipated. The reconstruction of skeleton 272 is neither blah nor the Amazon's legend, nor does it reflect the facial features of the Cossacks.
I was really very disappointed myself in the construction of the 272 based on the skull. Not because of the version
and now the Indian subcontinent. Where are these mummies from? For Felix and Spencer, the hard work begins to pay off. They are beginning to see the first hints of identifiable markers.
When I first saw the picture of the DNA, I was ecstatic. It was one of those highlights of my life. We anticipated that all the mummies that we worked with carried the European side, and turns out the result is not quite so.
The data grows more complete with each analysis.
Very, very clear DNA results. You've got lineages from all over Eurasia.
Based on what we are seeing right now, it looks like Tarim Basin was the crossroad of population migration.
A new picture emerges, one that is being refined by continuing lab work, but hints at connections from around the continent. Markers from Europe, West Eurasia, and from Siberia, Tibet, Mongolia, even India.
There have been a lot of theories about who these people are. Some people have said they're Celts. Others have suggested that they're Vikings. It's pretty clear that from the DNA evidence, they're not a pure group of Europeans who were transplanted into Western China. What they are is a mixed population.
The beauty of Lolon and the boy, both with unexpected marks of East Asian ancestry. Chechen Man.
Related to the modern populations. Today we have a whole battery of scientific approaches to study biological variation. RNA and DNA is perhaps the most precise. It's a new weapon in our artillery to try to determine degrees of biological variation.
Russian scientists are now using DNA analysis to study the Pazyryk. At this lab, they extract ancient brain samples from Pazyryk skulls and compare them genetically with modern-day ethnic groups. They haven't yet tested tissue from the Ice Maiden, but their initial work suggests that not only were the Pazyryk probably Mongoloid, but their closest living descendants are the people of the Altai.
Вот это, да?